This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 115, entitled MGMTOW, men going mostly their own way. Description. This flyer describes my own lifestyle that is not fully MGTOW nor purple pill either. The flyer itself. MGMTOW, men going mostly their own way. I've been writing a few flyers lately on alternative lifestyles for men, once they have decided not to marry, not to have kids, and to spend their money on themselves. In this flyer, I will talk about an alternative lifestyle that I live that I call MGMTOW. It's not what the MGTOWs call purple pill, which is a man who's had his red pill consciousness raised but is still in a traditional marriage. My lifestyle is definitely a bit purplish in the sense that I have a Chinese in brackets wife, but it's red. It's so red in many respects that I've given it a different label to distinguish it from an ordinary purple pill lifestyle. I have a Chinese wife who annoys me enough to make the whole relationship borderline, but I still need a green card, hopefully in a few months. Actually, I read this a year or so ago. I've now done all the admin, I'm just waiting now. It takes about a year. I have to wait a year. And I'm still concerned about the full impact of living alone for the next 20 years in a third world shithole culture. My sister has very generously offered to buy a 1-bedroom apartment that I can live rent-free in, so I'll probably take up her very generous offer and go live in Melbourne, Australia in about a year or two from now, once I've finished up some work I need to do here in China. Okay. For the next 20 years in a third world shithole culture, in brackets, if I can stay alive that long, given I'm nearly 70. So what I do on a day-to-day routine basis is the following, that is my daily routine. I'm retired, so I largely do what I like. I wake up around 10 a.m. My wife cooks me breakfast. That died off long ago. I wash the dishes. I don't do that because she switched off the hot water. Alien. I look at my email, then take a pile of math and physics books and the dog to the neighbouring park with my camp chair and study them, annotate them, until about 6 p.m. I then return home and write a flyer to Sandman's and TFM's, that's Turd Flinging Monkeys, channel. That takes about 2 hours. Then I watch YouTube lecture videos on the dollar crash, Jewish banksters, cosmology, advanced physics, etc. till midnight, when my wife, whose apartment I live in, who is a Professor Phipp with her own apartment, car, pension plan, etc., turns off the internet so that I can't work late into the night, which is my preference. I like the calm of the night and work better at night, but she dictates to me. I can't tell her to fuck off because she would tell me the same and I'd have to leave the country. From midnight to about 2 a.m. I read math, but mostly philosophy. My 3 favourite topics are pure math, math physics and philosophy. Since my previous Chinese wife stole half my savings, I don't have a lot of money left for the next 20 years of my retired life, so I need to stay in a poor country to take advantage of the low cost of living. I have a very low opinion of the Chinese, having lived 10 years in this dump, but I have arranged a lifestyle that suits me fine, as described above. I communicate with my Chinese wife only a few minutes a day. The main social activity we share is taking the dog for an hour's evening walk. Don't even do that anymore. When we return home, she goes to her room and watches 80 IQ soaps on her iPad. I kid you not. She's a professor, yet she spends her day watching soaps and pulling out grey hairs, a real vegetable in my eyes, while I'm studying PhD level pure math and physics. Her idea of something interesting is a marked change in the price of something she buys regularly at the supermarket. The woman has such a childlike mind that I wonder how she ever became a professor in the first place. She seems generally interested in such trivia. I just partially ignore her, giving her just enough attention so that she doesn't kick me out. I suspect that she would rather have me around than be totally alone. She's mid-50s, rather fat, so if I leave she'll probably go manless for the rest of her life. I think that idea scares her. If when I get my green card, I will need to ask myself carefully, do I want to put up with this femalian for the rest of my life? I do get some advantages from it. I don't pay rent. Well, now I do. I get my meals cooked. Well, I've been cooking for, over 6 months myself, in exchange for me washing the dishes. And I do get some company. Well, don't even get that anymore. I lived 4 years alone in a Mormon small university town in Utah in the 2000s and was not happy, so I don't underestimate the loneliness problem. I felt totally alienated from the goddamn Mormons and fled weekends to Salt Lake City to escape them every weekend. Human communication is as much a basic need as sex is for men, so in practice I compromise. I live the MGMTOW lifestyle. I can put up with this femalian, this child woman, whom I don't take seriously, whose mind seems to be in a vegetative state, who has such a narrow view of the world, uncurious, untravelled, not even to nearby Hong Kong, doesn't read serious books, yet she's a professor. I suspect she has two lives, her working life, where her brain switches on, and her home life, where it switches off, to a man's detriment, that is, me. Given that I interact with her only an hour a day, I don't even do that, no, maybe a minute of conversation, if that. It's not really conversation, it's just more her nagging and me telling her to fuck off. And even then, I walk ahead of her because she's fat and slow, so I can tolerate my MGM lifestyle, which costs me only a few minutes a day of talking with this child woman. At least she's a FIP. I don't have to worry about some fluffy parasite stealing my money again, like my previous Chinese wife. And I couldn't get it back because the Chinese courts favour their own citizens, and she was the daughter of a general who was on the Long March with Mao, so she probably used guanxi, that's string pulling, with the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. So, I'm in a borderline marriage with a FIP with whom I barely communicate and can't share my brain with at all. How many women on the earth call learning PhD level pure math and math physics as fun? There's no sex. When she started seeing me as rather poor, the hypergamy in her kicked in and the sex dried up. We sleep in different rooms, so my overall contact with her is almost nil. There's just enough contact to overcome the loneliness feelings, so we may just decide to stay in this MGMTOW relationship for years. No. Once I cut my green card, I'm either out or I leave the country. Probably I'll just leave the country. China's a shithole. But 20 more years is a long time. So if I get my green card and my father's inheritance, then I may decide to change my lifestyle. I will only live once, so I don't want to be miserable, but I'm not miserable, only when she pisses me off with her child mind bullshit. Most of the day I'm free to do what I love, which is learn PhD level pure math and math physics, which I then put into YouTube lecture course videos for the world, so PhD level students can teach themselves for free. I feel this is highly significant and gives me real purpose and drive. This is a task that will take me decades and is extremely challenging because I'm not a genius. I don't have 180 IQ that will allow me to rip through all this heavy stuff with ease. I get brain strain every day and have to work hard at it to make it unconscious and intuitive, but I love it. I love learning how the world works, and I love the beauty and power of pure math. I'm in awe at what genii males are capable of, dreaming up their mathematical structures. I love seeing them build their cathedrals of mathematical logic, reveling in their genius that I'm smart enough to understand, but not able to compete with them. These guys are 1 in a billion with a B. So I go my own way most of the time, doing what I love, not paying for a woman, with no risk of being financially massacred in a divorce court because my Chinese wife is a FIP and a professor. It's a tolerable lifestyle that I just might keep doing until I drop. Who knows? Well, that was a year or so ago. Now I will definitely move out. I'm fed up. So I will leave China, the shithole. I call it the shithole. And I will take up my generous sister's offer in a year or two. I still have some work to finish off. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name de GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. Ciao.